I've developed this instinct to go straight to deep research, which is like search on steroids. That is underselling it. At this point now, when something new comes at me, an idea comes at me, an opportunity comes at me, the very first thing I do is kick off a few deep researches. Don't even think about it. When they finish, then I start from a higher baseline. And I think it's really important that you guys as founders develop that instinct to do that. So I'll walk you through doing that here, and you'll notice this over and over again in my future videos.
All right, guys. So this just happened, and I thought it would be a good segment to talk about developing AI instincts. So the instinct I'm going to talk to you about today is how I use AI to quickly get smart about anything, whether I know nothing about it or something. And so here's the output of that process. I had a 30-minute phone call with some friends who run a CPG, and they want some help with automation. And although I know e-commerce really well, I haven't done a lot of CPG work being sold through retailers. And so they were throwing a lot of terms at me. And I needed to get smart about the words they're using and how their process works. And very quickly, I'm a very visual person, I was able to get to process diagrams that help me understand the world in which they're operating and the challenges that they have. And I went from sort of getting it to like actually have a pretty strong grasp on it in something like 20 minutes. And my primary tool is deep research, but I also use audio notes. Takeaway here is the instinct to use deep research constantly, right? Whenever you're trying to learn anything, when you want to just establish a baseline understanding, you should go to deep research. It is one of the tools I use 10 times a day. And so how I started this time was on my phone. After my call, I opened my project that I have in ChatGPT, which covered in a different video. I created a new chat, and then I just hit this audio button. I can't do it from my Mac. I hit this audio button, and I just talked, right? And what you're seeing here at the top of this, wrong one, is what I actually said, right? And it was just, okay, so I have some friends, right? And I actually said that, and what I told it to do after I was done rambling is I said, hey, give me 2 research briefs, which are then the things I put into deep research. And it produced these 2 research briefs. Then what I did was I went into ChatGPT, and I pasted in that first research brief. So I went over here. This is my conversation I was having on my phone. That's the first research brief. I went like this. I copied it. Went to a new chat. I actually opened the project that I used. I pasted it in. I changed the tool to run deep research, and I hit go. And I did both of these at once. And they took probably 10 minutes to come back to me. And so this is the first one. How long did it take? 9 minutes. Hit 20 sources. And then I got my big research blob. First thing I did from that, I started a new Google Doc. Scroll to the bottom. Copy this. Start a new Google Doc. And boom, I pasted it in. Right? I read through this. And the first question I had is, you know what, this is a lot of information. I need to see it visually. All right. So I said, I'd like to see a typical process diagram for how it works at smaller CPGs as well as a little larger, understand the high-level flows. And it gave me back these. What these are is, it's actually called a mermaid diagram. You don't need to know that, because how we're going to render them visually is by using Claude. So I went back, I took this and I copied it. I went over to Claude and I said, render the second process diagram full screen. First thing I did, so I pasted that text in, and I said, render the process diagram full screen. So I'll just show you what I did there. Copy that, and I won't make you guys wait because it takes a few minutes. I go into Claude.ai, I paste this, and I say, render this process diagram full screen, right? I come back a little bit different each time unless I really specify the format. Came back with an error. So I said, okay, mermaid syntax error. I just kind of put it in there. Came back, said still error. Third time around, it got me this diagram. I could have worked with it to make it sort of do it properly. I just zoomed in and then copy pasted it into the process diagrams section that I'm working on. And I repeated that for both diagrams for the first deep research. And then I did something like it again on the second deep research. And the result of that process is now that me being a visual person, I can look at this and start to follow it, and I can translate their vocabulary into my vocabulary, and it all makes sense. And then I go back to the actual results of the deep research, and reading it through with that diagram in mind, it all makes perfect sense to me. And then later when I talk to them, I'm speaking their language. This instinct to go to deep research, to find ways to visualize its output, right, like, is one that will serve you really, really well. I use it all sorts of places. One way I use it a lot is when I'm being told no, this isn't possible, which as a businessman, I'm sure you guys hear no a lot. And so frequently the answer is actually it is possible, but the person didn't know how or didn't want to, or was making assumptions about what the requirements were. And so I use deep research to sort of cut through the noise and figure out if things are possible all the time. And the funny thing is you do that a few times and then your team starts doing it before you do it. So they come to you with the answer as opposed to come to you with, it's not doable. So really powerful instinct, and you guys should definitely do it. Again, in ChatGPT, make sure to select one of those over and over again models, O3, O3 Pro, go to Tools, run Deep Research. And that's it. Give it a shot.
Throw the best AI bullshit that you've gotten in the comments, and I'll unbullshit it for you. It should be fun. Subscribe for more hilarious AI breakdowns.